So this was very requested. I know that we have covered things like cleansing and do's and don'ts and quick tips and whatnot, but it was very requested about protection. So I have a few options here on my desk, and we're going to go over them one by one and talk about it. So, first up, because everybody loves to do this, crystals. And I'll try to get this zoomed in so y'all can look at this pretty little piece. So I found this guy in a rock shop on a clearance table, and it's a pretty little chunk of smoky. But anyway, let's talk about crystals. So I know crystals are a very popular thing for the protection juju, and I'm actually going to go get one off my shelf real quick. This is the other guy that I have. Now, the reason that I showed two different ones is because things to know about crystals. You have to, even though certain crystals have inherent properties, you still have to charge them to give them that oomph. Think of it like mixing the water with your ramen noodle seasoning. You have to have that oomph behind it, otherwise it's just not the same. Now, what does that mean? So I know, putting them out in the moon to charge is all well and good. But what I personally recommend is use your own energy to consistently feed that. That way you're getting a more consistent charge, if you will, rather than a once a month charge. And it doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit. And it falls a little bit under the enchanting umbrella, and I am probably going to do a slideshow for the enchanting thing because it's a lot of information, and that way you can pause it, you can save it, and it's going to be a lot easier for you. But yeah, so crystals are great, and the little crystals are awesome to, throw in your bag, put in your pocket, stuff like that. I don't recommend putting it in your pocket because it's easy to lose. But our big boy right here is very good to keep in your room, keep in your house. And I believe this one is tourmaline. She cost me a chunk and she's very sharp. She likes to bite. But yeah, keep that in mind. Like, you can use them in your home, you can use them on your person. I wouldn't take them back and forth because our big one there is just not practical. But I also know that our big one there is very protecting of my home. So there is our first protection thing. Time for another protection thing. This one is, I don't want to say juju bags or anything like that because I know that there are cultural connotations to that in a closed practice. However, it's similar. So, this little bad boy right here. So what are these? These are awesome because what you can do is, and just a piece of advice on how to make them, make sure that the materials that you are using are natural, not synthetic or anything like that. I try to avoid anything like poly blend or anything like that. 100% cotton right here. And the thread on this, I believe, is waxed twine. So what are these? These are awesome. You can put whatever you want in them. You can put a variety of protection things and pretty much make a little satchel that'll do whatever you want it to do. So you can do things like you can put tobacco in it. You could put sage in it. You could put salt in it. You could add small crystals to it. I believe this one has one in it. I will not say what this was for because I did use this on a job. But yeah, and I mean, they're awesome because they're customizable and you can secure them. And yeah, they're a little conspicuous. But I mean, like if you're throwing them in a bag or if you're putting them in your home, like over the doors or under your bed or under your couch or, places where they're not so obvious, but they can still do their job. But they're great and they're customizable. And I know I keep saying that, but like I get really excited when it's a super simple thing, but it's a very effective thing. And I mean, if anything else, you can throw these in your car as well. But yep. So here is us another protection option. I have a few more that I'm going to go through, but I'm trying to get y'all started right now. So next up on our list of protection items. Now, I've had this a very long time, and both pieces of it were a gift for me, but we want to get to a point. So I know I have mentioned a few times now about enchanting. I promise I will get a how-to up on enchanting. So when you have physical items like this, enchanting is very important. And I know one of my recommendations for protection is having talismans, jewelry, something that you can wear. That's not going to, now this I will say is not exactly inconspicuous because she is big. But there's this another item. Now I have had this for, I want to say 24 years. And this is one of the things that I consistently charge. Do I use it for protection? Not necessarily. Now the chain I have had for about 10 years. This came from one of my mentors. So both things are very valuable to me. But I also know that it's something that I will always have and that I will always carry around. And that I don't have to worry about losing or forgetting about or anything like that, because this is one thing that has gone with me everywhere, on every job and every move and everything. But yeah, make sure, like, you can do it with a ring, you can do it with a bracelet, you can do it with a necklace, you can do it with any piece of jewelry that you know you're going to hang on to. Rings are great for this. I can't wear rings because of my job, but things like that are awesome. But again, I digress. Make sure that you are going with natural things. Like, make sure whatever stones you have are real. Make sure whatever metal you use is something. I recommend silver or gold. I know not everybody has the budget for that sort of thing, but sterling silver's pretty affordable. And the reason I say this is because these are also things that have magical inherent properties, especially I know silver and gold for a fact, and bronze as well, have magical properties to them. So it makes them extremely good conductors. Also, make sure you're researching what everything does, because if I remember correctly, I do believe that silver is an amplifier. So do your research on your metals, do your research on your stones, and I mean beyond just like your generic little witch list on what stones do what. And keep in mind, just like crystals, you still have to charge these and make sure that they are being maintained. It's not just a one and done thing. Time for another protection thing. Okay, so I'm going to try and be as descriptive as I can about this. This has a lot of different names. I have heard them called witches' ladders. I have heard them called prayer beads. Rosaries are kind of like in the same family, as well as malas. And usually I just call them prayer beads because people don't ask a lot of questions. And this is what it looks like. Now I make these. They are a little on the pricier side to make. All of the beads are real stone, and it is all strung with sinew. And, you know, we're keeping with our whole make sure it's natural theme. Now these, the reason that they can be a little expensive is because the beads are expensive. Let's be very specific. The beads are expensive and they are not consistent in pricing. So I believe this guy was, I want to say red turquoise and howlite, but it could be wrong. It's been a couple years since I made this. And the way that this works is you have one unbroken string, and you got to have a lot of it. So what you'll do is you'll make sure you have your pattern laid out, and they also have, depending on what kind you're making, they have a certain amount of beads that they have to have. I believe for a mala it is 108, and I believe for prayer beads it is 99, but it varies. And anyway, so you have your one unbroken strand, and then you put a bead on and you tie a knot, and you put a bead on and you tie a knot, and you go forth like that. But the kicker about it, and this can actually be used for more than just protection. You can use it for whatever you need. Like if you need something to help quell anxiety, if you need something to help filter empathic ability so you don't get overwhelmed, which was a witchy tip. things like this is what I'm talking about. So as you're making this, and I will do a how-to on how to make these, they are very time consuming too. Don't get it twisted. And if you mess up, you have to undo everything and start all over again. But every time you make a bead, every time you make a knot, give it purpose. Give it a little juice, give it purpose. And whenever you feel that need, that you need your beads to do their work, you're going to sit there and you're going to count them. After you're finished, of course. But you're going to sit there and count them. And it's going to help activate them for their purpose. Same goes with protection.